You can have the best scripts, you can have the best technology, but at the end of the day, if the wrong people are answering your phones, none of it matters. Okay. Now, this is kind of like a thought for the general managers or the sales manager or the people who are in management, right? So often we like to point the finger and we like to be like, oh, well, they're not doing this and they're not picking up the phones the right way or whatever the case is. But one thing I've learned being in leadership is this: everything rises and falls on leadership. Okay. So I know you guys have probably heard this before. People don't do as you say, they do as you do. Okay. So however you're coming into the office, whatever energy you're bringing in, that is what is going to be essentially multiplied within your people. So if you're a leader on this call, this is a moment for you to ask yourself that question. Like, yeah, you might need to go and you might need to maybe hire some new people. Maybe you're you're not happy with the performance at your dealership, or maybe you need to figure out, you're trying to build a new team for service to sales or whatever the case is, right? But the first place you need to look at is how am I leading my people? How am I adding value to their life, right? Literally this morning, I show up here and around 10 a.m., our leaders have the entire call center on the wall and they're doing wall sits for 2 minutes. And it's so inspiring to see everybody just take part in something, right? And then you just start to see there's like this trickle effect. Like people are showing up with, everybody's drinking water, you know what I mean? Everybody's eating fruit and they're eating healthy. And it's like, wow, you get to see how just small, consistent decisions can have a ripple effect in the lives of your people. Okay. So let's kind of keep cooking here. So there's some questions that I had that I wanted to ask Jason. Maybe we can go back to that once he gets over here. Zeke, do me a favor. Go grab him and tie him up and bring him over here. So let's talk about retention, right? So I think this is because hiring, there's like a process to that I think is really important, especially when it comes to identifying top talent. And I'm going to kind of have Jason talk about that a little bit, but I want to talk about retention, right? So here's a question that I want you guys to think about at your dealership. How can we reduce turnover, right? So turnover, Jason and I have been to so many dealerships in the last 6 years of doing this, where when you go to a dealership, you can immediately see how strong and how healthy the BDC is, or how healthy the sales team is, by the tenure that people have, right? So if you go to a store and you see, okay, there's like, we were just at a dealership in Idaho, a Toyota store, and we were training their whole BDC on scripting. We were setting up a service to sales process. And what was amazing to me was within the BDC, they had like 9 or 10 people in the BDC, and everybody had been there for at least 2 years. So it was like one person had been there for 2 years, the other person had been there for 5 years. And you could just see how what happens is the growth compounds, right? Now, the challenge with the turnover, right, is that when there's a high turnover, you have to take everything that you've invested into the people from the beginning and you have to start from square one again, right? So if you're a leader on this call, or if you're an internet director, or if you're just maybe for now starting out and you're dialing, you want to think about this like, hey, how can we reduce turnover? Because ultimately, if we're trying to build up to a successful month, right, that plays a role with every single person that's in the department, right? Imagine, here, like we have probably 70 or 80 people that are on the floor here, right? And let's just say I was dialing in one account and I knew I was crushing it and I was doing a great job, right? I could be killing it. But if my team, 3 rows down from me is not crushing it, is not killing it, they're not bringing the right energy into the phone, that still affects us at the end of the day, right? And it's the same if you're there at the dealership. You might have 1,000 leads that comes into your bucket every month, right? And you might have, let's say, 150 to 200 of those leads that you handle personally, right? And you might be killing it and you might be crushing it. But if the person next to you isn't doing their job, that's going to affect whether you're on like a performance pay plan with the whole team or whatever the case is. It affects ultimately the reputation of your dealership, and it affects so many other things that you have going on, right? So how can we reduce turnover? Here's another thought with that: retain top talent, right? We want to be able to attract top talent, and we want to be able to retain top talent. And I touched on this a little bit, right? Compound growth with our people. We all know there's like a ramp up period to hit the phones, right? Maybe you're in that ramp up period right now. But what's so special is when I see agents that we train that are a month into it, 2 months into it, 3 months, if you blink your eyes and 6 months goes by, I mean, the confidence that they have on the phone, it compounds, right? It's a muscle memory game. It's it's about getting the reps in, right? So think about this: the more reps you get in, the more your growth is going to compound. So when you're in a leadership position, you want to think about that. Like, how do I retain my top talent? How do I compound this growth with my people, right? And then here's a good question, right? Why do good people leave? Maybe you're on live with us right now. Maybe drop something in the comments. Maybe you're on the Zoom call. I kind of want to know what you guys see at your store. Why do good people leave? Maybe if you're on the training community call right now, drop it in the comments. But here's kind of what I wrote down for you guys. So if you're taking notes. So number one is culture, right? Culture is everything. Culture, a lot of the times we think culture is something that, here's what I'll say. Culture is always created either by design or it's created by default. So what do I mean by that? Culture is something that you have to be relentless about. The culture is the air that your employees breathe. It's almost like the vibe that they come into with work. It's what they can expect from you, right? I had a leader tell me this one time. He's like, you have to be consistent with the stuff that makes you excited, right? But you also got to be consistent with the stuff that makes you angry, right? So it's like your culture is like what your team knows and expects from you. So if you have a weakness, right, that's why we want to have leaders. That's why we want to have people around us that are able to protect that weakness that we have. So culture, right? I have some stuff that I'm going to talk to you guys about with culture. The second one is environment, right? So I told you a little bit about how we do our power hour at 10 a.m. where we grab the whole team, and maybe one day we do push-ups, maybe the other day we do wall sits. But what we're really doing is we're fostering an environment of growth. We're fostering an environment of personal growth so that when you come here on a daily basis and you're dialing, right? How many of you know it's so easy to check into a BDC job and you're just like, man, I'm just making the same calls. I have to hit my 250 dials, whatever the case is. And out of nowhere, you just find yourself in this place where you're mundanely going through the motions, right? So, but when you have an environment that is passionate about taking every single phone call and encouraging you that, hey, guess what? That rep that you take, that call that you make, that's not your value isn't just in what you're doing or the position that you hold. Your value is constantly growing, and it's something that you take with you wherever you go, right? So I think if you're in BDC right now, if you're on this call, you want to ask yourself, what can I do to add to my environment? How can I come in and encourage the person that's to the right of me or to the person that's to the left of me? What can I do to multiply the environment, right? Because every act of generosity, guys, is a seed that gets planted. You guys know that? And that seed has the ability to grow. So culture, environment. Here's another one, leadership, right? leadership. I think Jason is going to talk about that a little bit. And then I actually want to cook with you guys on compensation and pay plan, because we've found some really cool pay plans and compensation plans that can really help retain that top talent. But I think maybe we can go back to that. So just kind of cooking a little bit more on culture, right? So I want you guys to write this down, and I want you to remember this. It's not that we don't do certain things because that's not what we do, right? That's how we think about culture a lot. It's like, oh, I'm not going to do that because that's not what I do. No, it's that there's certain things that we're not going to do just because that's not who we are, right? So remember, everything I'm talking about is like building the person of you, building your traits, building your health, honestly, at the end of the day, right? How well of a conversation you can have with a customer on the phone is a direct correlation from how well you're taking care of yourself, right? Like if I'm coming into work and I'm having a horrible day and things are going crazy, maybe I have personal issues and I'm not taking care of my health and I'm staying up late and I'm dehydrated and I'm not giving my body the right nutrition. Well, how am I going to be expected to perform at a high level if I'm not first taking care of my temple, right? And so that's the idea, is like we're always going to reproduce who we are. Culture is this. It's what's celebrated, but it's also what is tolerated. Okay, so I don't know if you've ever been a part of a team, right? And you've been crushing it and you've been killing it, but then you notice that there's people on your team that are doing the bare minimum, and that gets tolerated. And it just kind of goes and gets swept under the rug. How quickly does that cause you to lose your momentum or lose your excitement? Because you're seeing, man, like, well, I'm over here trying my hardest and nobody's celebrating me. And then over here, these people are like barely trying and it's just completely tolerated. So as leaders, it's like you have to think about that. Am I celebrating the right things that's happening in my BDC department? And then ask yourself this: am I tolerating? What am I tolerating? So I think where this usually lands with BDC is like performance and stats. So if we're talking about the amount of phone calls you have to make in a day, right? There's a standard for that. Here at our company, the standard is different for each department, right? Because in sales, right, you may have less people pick up the phones in one department. Like if you're data mining and you're calling people that have purchased at the dealership before, you're going to have less people pick up than if you're calling day one new leads, right? Day one new leads, those people are probably going to pick up, versus if you're calling in service to sales, right? So there's different stats and there's different metrics. Just to like peel back the curtain a little bit. So if you're in sales BDC, we require you to make 250 outbound phone calls in a day, right? But what do you think is going to happen to the overall stats and the overall performance if everybody's leaving with, 170 calls, but we know that they're supposed to be hitting 250? Well, now we're tolerating that. Now that becomes the new norm. Does that make sense? So you have to make sure that you're aware of what you're celebrating and what you're tolerating. And I mentioned this, but am I an addition to the culture or am I a subtraction to the culture, right? So you want to think about that. Let's talk about unhealthy culture for a minute, right? Because we were just talking about retention. And I think this is something that we've really zeroed in on here at Worldwide BDC, where you can look, and I wish I could show you guys the sales floor, but you can look out and you can just see, wow, man, like everybody's standing, everybody's full of energy, everybody's happy to be here. And it's like, how did we get there? Well, first we had to learn what it was like to have an unhealthy culture, right? And so these are some things personally that I learned when it came to our culture. So here's the truth: unhealthy culture breeds fear, okay? So you don't realize this, but when you're coming in and you are just so locked in on other things that does not have to do with work, and you're off having side conversations, or maybe you're talking about somebody, or maybe there's gossip, or just stuff that's like unhealthy culture. The truth is that breeds fear, right? And the truth is, when people are afraid to make mistakes, they hide their problems instead of solving them. Okay. Unhealthy culture kills energy and it kills morale. Okay. A long time ago, I learned this about leadership. The biggest thing with leadership is momentum. Leadership is momentum. Do you know how to harness momentum? Right? I'll tell you right now, if you have an unhealthy culture, you are going to kill that momentum, any momentum that you have, right? I've learned this as well in BDC, is that unhealthy culture turns teammates into competitors, right? And I love friendly competition, but at the end of the day, it's like, hey guys, we're all here to achieve one goal together. And it's like, if my team isn't supporting me, if my team isn't pushing me, if my team isn't helping me get uncomfortable, challenging me, hey man, you could have done that call better. Hey, next time, try saying something like this. And we're not having healthy confrontation, right? Where there's collaboration. Ultimately, that's going to lead to us having an unhealthy culture, right? Here's another one. Having unhealthy culture, it leaks into the phones, right? Which makes it difficult to provide world-class experience to our customers. Why? Because your customers, the truth is, your customers are going to feel what your team is feeling. So think about that for a minute. If you are not locked in on what is happening with your people and what your culture is, that essentially is going to leak into the phones, and you're going to hear it in their tonality. You're going to hear it in how they overcome objections and their tenacity and how well they can push through when things get uncomfortable on the phones. And then lastly is unhealthy culture rewards survival, not excellence, right? All right, let's keep cooking a little bit. So it's like, dude, unhealthy culture, I get it, but it's like, what happens when the culture turns healthy, right? So I had mentioned this, but healthy culture multiplies and it adds horsepower to the whole team. It raises the ceiling, it raises the performance, right? So imagine if you have 10 reps and your 10 reps are making 170 calls per day, right? How many calls is that? Okay, great. So your team, those 10 reps are making 170 calls per day. That's 1,700 calls. But what happens when you multiply the culture and you raise the lid on the performance, and now those 10 reps are making 2,500 calls? That's 700 more phone calls per day, right? Healthy culture celebrates this. It's celebrating progress over perfection. Remember earlier I was saying that unhealthy culture, it breeds fear. So a lot of the times it's like we have this standard of perfection. Everything has to be perfect. But when you celebrate only perfection, you miss out on celebrating people's progress. And that's what ultimately makes people feel bought into something, if they can be recognized for the progress that they make, right? Here's the truth. People rise to a new level when they don't fear failure. Healthy culture inspires growth, right? It reduces anxiety. It reduces burnout. And then I wrote this down. When people are a part of something bigger than themselves, it gives them a bigger reason to show up than just to collect a paycheck. And so winning culture seeps into every part of our people's lives. So guys, if you're on this call right now, I know right now, maybe you are a BDC manager, maybe you're not, maybe you're a sales manager, maybe you're not. Maybe you're just watching this on LinkedIn Live, or maybe this is a pre-recorded video that you're watching. I want you to ask yourself this question. How can I be a multiplication to the culture? What can I do? The truth is, guys, I got to be honest, the place that this starts is in your personal life. It's like, how are you taking care of yourself, right? And that's where it starts. So here's another question I want to ask you guys. How can I safeguard my mind and my actions to make sure that I am not a division to culture? Okay. So being a division to the culture, guys, it's going to have so much more negative outcomes than you can imagine. Okay. All right. So I want to talk on training for a minute. Okay. So training, when it comes to training, right? What are the crucial parts involved in getting an agent ready for the phones? So again, I'm going to peel back the curtains a little bit and let you guys see into how we kind of do things here at Worldwide BDC. So this is our second week of a brand new hiring class that we have. And so during that week, what we do is we go through 5 days of training before the agent hits the phones, right? And so day one is all about mindset. Day one is all about personal development, personal growth, right? Day one, we go through this training by Joe Dispenza, which is he talks about how to literally brainwash yourself for success. So that's crazy. It's like, dude, just give them a script and let them hit the phones. But what we've learned is like, hey, when we focus on personal growth, when we focus first on where people are at in their personal lives, which so we teach based on 4 things. So if you want to write this down, it's body, mind, soul, spirit. So obviously body, it's like, hey, are you taking care of your body? Are you hydrating every day? We underestimate hydration because we just think it's like, dude, I'm gonna show up, I'm gonna hit an energy drink, and then I'm gonna raw dog it. But it's like, we don't realize that, dude, water is the primary median for cellular function. So for you to be able to have a great conversation with somebody, pick up on all the little cues that they're giving you, right? Be able to respond intelligently in a way that adds value, to formulate your speech and your thought patterns, like that all requires you to be hydrated, have the vitamins and the minerals that you need. So it's like, we'll talk about that. Body, like, do you have a plan of action for a protocol before you just show up and you hit the phones? This might be familiar to you guys, but our protocol here is hydration, movement, gratitude, visualization. So it's like, dude, before I hit the phones, I got to ask myself, am I hydrated? Have I moved around? If you go to the gym in the morning, great. If you don't go to the gym in the morning, still get up and go for like a 20-minute walk, 30-minute walk, get some vitamin D, get some sun. You know what I'm saying? So we have hydration. And this is stuff that we talk about on the first day, believe it or not, before the agent ever touches the phones. So body, the second one I said was mind. So what is it? Healthy body leads to what? Healthy mind, right? So if you're taking care of yourself, mentally, you're going to be in a better spot. And here's the crazy thing is, if you're in a better spot, mentally, if you're in a better spot, what's going to happen is, literally, there's scientific studies on this, where when you think positive thoughts and when you speak positive things over your life, physically, you become more well, right? And that's like a straight up fact. So body, mind, soul. So it's like soul care. Like, how are you caring for your soul? That's why I talk about gratitude. For those of you who don't know this, right? There's different frequencies that we can operate on as humans, right? There's lower frequencies, okay? Lower frequencies is like fear, shame, guilt. Those are all survival emotions that causes you to be in this place of like fight or flight, right? But what we want to do is we want to transition to a place where we're in more of a survival, not survival, sorry. We don't want to be in a survival state. We want to be in a place of creation, right? Which is creation emotions. So that's like gratitude, wonder, awe. So, Jay, what's going on?
What's going on, man?
Guys, I want to introduce you to Jason.
Hey, how you guys doing? Oh, yeah. We're in the cooker.
Yeah, we're live on LinkedIn. We got 3 things going on here, Jay. So we got LinkedIn Live for some people here. We got some of our Zoom people, part of the Elliott group. Then we also got our training community, which this is going to be recorded for. So Jason, what I'm talking about right now is I'm peeling back the curtains a little bit about how we do our training. So I'm talking about how day 1 we go over body, mind, soul, spirit.
Yeah, I think it's just mindset. Like out of the gate, before we jump into any type of training, before I tell you how to make a phone call, how to pick it up, how do we build structure, what you say to a customer, I think the first thing is just, can you be coachable? Can you be trainable? Can we create someone? Are you moldable? We need a blank slate. We need to start writing on it. I think before we do anything, we like to have people watch videos. Get your mindset right. Let's get you some Patrick Bet-David videos. Let's get you some Andy Elliott videos. Let's have you watch some interviews of what a Mamba mentality is like. I think you first have to get the mindset before we can train. So we say this. It's like, what do we call it? The brainwash day.
Yeah.
First, we got to
day one is brainwash day.
Brainwash day one. Let's see if we can create a new you that's inspired. This is a brand new opportunity for you. You're walking into a new role, and you're able to kind of be whoever you want to be right now. So we kind of give that stage to them. Like whatever you came in with, it doesn't matter. You got the job. Let's move forward. But first, it's mindset.
Yeah. There was a question that I wanted to ask you earlier, Jason. I kind of like jumped ahead a little bit, but earlier we were talking about retention, right? So when it comes to like hiring people, right? I wanted to ask you this question because just so you guys know, my thing over here is like, I don't want to say guru, but it's like, dude, I've been hitting the phones in the automotive space for probably like close to 10 years now. So it's like, I'm super passionate about like the customer conversations, the sales techniques and all that stuff. But Jason, and I was telling the team this, every time I'm around Jason, I learn so much from a process standpoint. Because Jason, his main job is like, he talks to GMs and owners and BDC managers, sales managers, desk managers all day, pretty much.
All day.
And so I wanted to, number one, I learned so much whenever I hear you speak, Jason. But I was going to ask you this. What are some of the methods that you need to use to have success hiring? Like if they're on this call and they're like, dude, I need to hire more people. How can I go about finding the right people? Or like, what is even involved in that process of like, I'm interviewing for this position in BDC. Like, how do I know if they're the right fit for the right role?
Yeah, I mean, this is probably the hardest thing to do so this is what I found. Hiring is the whole thing. So worldwide BDC as it exists, and if there's other BDCs that are out there that are watching this, BDC companies and even stores, it doesn't really matter. The hardest thing to do is to find the right people. The reality is this: if I could hire more people faster, we would have grown 10 times faster.
Right.
But the whole piece is trying to find the right person to come into the organization. So what are some of the key things we look for? Well, number one, we tell you to come dressed ready. So for our position, it's like, if you can't see the rest of it, but I'm dressed appropriate for the role. Yeah. Morgan's in a suit. Everyone's in a suit. Women have heels. It's just the mindset. So how you come into the interview, we always say this when we're interviewing, hey, you can't overdress for this one. You could only underdress. Right. So that immediate mindset is like, let me see how far the person is willing to go to get hired. So that's one. Two, you can ask the simple questions that typically people ask. Hey, what's your prior experience? Or have you worked in a sales opportunity before? The reality is we don't really care if you did or you didn't. The only thing is, are you coachable and are you ready to grind? I need to know that you have the mentality that wants to work. Like you're not scared to pick up the phone. So you're not scared to stay an hour late. You're not scared to come in 10 minutes earlier. But I think what we do is in our interviews is that we look for the specific mindset of a person. Right. So when we're hiring, we're looking for the mindset, not the process, the mindset. Now, a mindset is something that we also have to build. So here's what we've always said. We have to produce a culture that when someone comes into our organization, they immediately feel it. If we were to walk on the floor right now, I know he can't uproot all this stuff, but we're yelling on the floor. There's loud music on the floor. I'm sure you guys probably heard some noise coming through there. They were doing wall sits. So we create a place that honestly is an acquired taste. Yeah. You can't, you would have to have like, you know what, I'm just going to let go and see what happens. We just give so number one, our culture sustains that. So it's almost like we're attracting the right people, but then also we repel the wrong people immediately. Like you could, if you if you don't like the environment, you're going to weed yourself out eventually, which happened actually recently. And I really appreciate this. Guy came in, he's like, hey, you guys are like intense. Yeah. We're like, well, when you're on the phone with a customer, we want to make sure the customer's coming in. There's something big on the other side of this phone, which is a massive incentive and car deal and cheap pricing and all this great stuff and wonderful customer service if you come into our dealership. So that's just how weird. He's like, hey man, I want to be as passionate as you guys want me to be. I'm just not passionate the way you guys are for it. It's better if I leave. So I think that's something that we do. It's like we're going to be passionate with everything we do, which is like part of our rules and what we live by.
That's good.
But I would say hiring is like the most important aspect to this whole game. But I don't really look for talent. I look for mindset.
So you don't really care about someone's level of experience more so as you care where their mindset is currently at.
I care more about your mindset. I can train the mind. All right. And talent doesn't mean anything if it's not on display, right? You can have all the talent. You could have worked all the jobs. It means nothing to me. What are you going to do for me now? What's your mind like?
That's good. So I kind of like cooked a little bit on the retention. I talked to them a lot about like culture. What's an unhealthy culture? I talked to them about how like culture is either created by design or default, right?
Right.
Something I didn't touch on at all was, and this is like really good information, is like, is there anything to do with like a pay plan that can help retain people? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, pay plan dictate behavior. Let's just start there. So if the pay plan doesn't match what the person's going to do, they're just never going to do it. Like if you tell me that, hey, if you're in BDC, you should be attached to a show ratio.
Yeah.
If your pay is not attached to the show ratio, does it matter if the customer shows or doesn't show?
So I've had conversations with other people that they pay their people based on appointment. Is that the same thing as like paying per show or?
Well, let's look at it this way. If you're running a BDC right now, you're a GM, you're a manager, whatever the situation is, you're over the store, right? Or you're a BDC company and you're trying to figure out, how do I create a pay plan for the people that I have? Well, let's gauge it. Number one, what is the level of effort? Effort is not shown by the amount of appointments. Effort is shown by the amount of dials. So dials have to be a part of the pay structure. Hey, and let's just leave it simple. You got to come in and dial 200 customers. Well, now you know how effective that one person is. Well, if he's calling 200 people, how many leads should he get per month? Well, he can get 200 leads per month because he's going to work through those opportunities. Okay, so now we know for every person, 200 leads. Okay, perfect. So it's an effort game. Effort comes out of the front end. Okay, cool. Now, hey, listen, if you don't reach 200 phone calls, let's just say you set 10 appointments. Okay. You can pay them per appointment. But if you don't reach 200 phone calls, I won't pay for those appointments. You didn't show me the effort I needed to get the appointment. Just because your talent is high, you can call 150 people and set 10 appointments. You still shortchanged me.
Yeah.
Right. So that's where talent.
Which I was gonna say, I feel like we've seen that a lot sometimes, where it's like somebody maybe naturally they just maybe connect a little bit better with customers, but Absolutely. It's like at the end of the day, it's like they got 21 appointments, but it's like dang, like. They didn't really put that much effort in.
Because it was easy. So that's why the first stat when you're building a pay structure is going to land on the amount of dials.
Dial count.
I want to see your effort level, because if you can call 200 people, then I want to pay you for the amount of appointments you set. Now, if you do set all those appointments, that's great. And we really appreciate that. The next stat is now we got the talent, which is going to be how many appointments you set. But now, what's your technique? Technique is show ratio.
Right.
How good are you on the phone to convince a customer an imaginary thing that they may be driving with brand new wheels, new leather, new car. This is a new experience, used, but it smells new. And that they're coming into a store that's going to give them the best options, the best price. They're going to be in and out. It's not going to be a haggle. That right there is how good are you on the phone, which turns into show ratio. I believe that a BDC should be paid on effort, appointment, and show. If the customer does or does not sell, has no bearing to us. For the BDC has nothing to do with us. I call the customer, I set the appointment, I got him to come in. Anything else that comes after is not our problem. The reason why I say that's very passionate, not the BDC's business, is because any dealer will say this and any GM will say that. Just bring them to the door, I'll do the rest.
Yeah.
Hey, just call them. What if they have bad credit? Just bring them in. We'll figure it out. Well, if you're going to figure it out, then I can't get paid on the figure it out.
Yeah.
I need to be paid on exactly what my job description was.
That makes sense.
So when it comes to pay structure, effort, right? Skill, right? And then technique.
That's good. That's really good. So something that I wanted to kind of cook on with you, Jason, also was process and stuff. So I'm gonna kind of flip through here. We've talked a lot about the culture. Okay, is there anything that you think we can add in terms of training, right? Because there's a lot of dealerships on here that I know, like you've worked at a dealership before. I've worked at a dealership before.
Mm-hmm.
I remember like my training was like, all right, dude, here's a script, like read the script and then go hit the phones. I know we talked about mindset the first day, brainwash day, right? This is some of the other things that I was going to tell you that we focus on here at Worldwide BDC is obviously script memorization, right? Yeah. So I think I would challenge them to memorize the script more than you would, because I feel like you have this natural ability to connect with people. So I feel like you're always going to teach more from like a sales methodology. But regardless, we've landed at this place where it's like, okay, bare minimum, can you read the script? Can you sound natural reading the script?
I agree.
So it's like, hey, you got to memorize the script by day 2. Sales methodology.
And I'm going to say this.
Yeah.
As you're saying this, I've memorized a script.
Yes.
There's no script I don't know at our organization. Now, you've created more scripts where some of the stuff may be different for better show ratio purposes and to land them on the appointment. But if you take away everything else and you leave the meat and the potatoes, it doesn't matter what level. Everyone should know the script. You can't be a manager here. You can't be a director here if you don't know our scripting. That is the bare bones of what we do. If you cannot set an appointment, you can't work at Worldwide BDC. Makes no sense.
Yeah, 100%.
Unless you're in the billing department. That's another story.
Yeah, absolutely. And so if you're a dealership on this call, these are some of the things that you want to think about, like who's actually training my people. Like I said, when I was at the dealership, I had someone hand me a script and like, all right, hit the phones. But there was like, in my 6-month time there, I think there was one time where someone sat down with me and like went over a phone call with me. And so that's something here at Worldwide BDC is like, that's mandatory. If an agent hits the phones and they're on the phones by Friday, they're doing their first review on that Friday, like by lunchtime, right? And I think maybe you're like, dude, how do you do that with 70 agents? So that's where like the technology piece comes in with like AI. I know there's like a big conversation right now with artificial intelligence in the automotive industry, which I was going to ask you based on your conversations with dealerships right now, like what you're seeing on like the AI front. Like, do you believe it's true that AI is eventually going to replace people at the dealership?
We're all going to lose our jobs. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Really, what's going to happen is that AI is going to be a really good tool for us to use. So what I've figured out is instead of like leaning away from AI, I lean into it.
Okay.
So there is some things that AI can help us with. So let's just talk about call reviews. We built a platform. If any one of you guys are interested, you could message Morgan or me on LinkedIn or any type of our platforms, and I'd love to show you what our call reviews look like. But if you could imagine, instead of listening to every call, you have your talking points, your script, you put it into one of these AI systems, and every call that comes out, it has a grade on it from, let's just say, 1% to 99 to 100%, right? If they hit all the metrics that you're looking for, excited, tenacity, did they ask for, was it a 2-option close? Did they ask for the replacement vehicle? Hey, did they, right? So you can get all this information. You can even go to, hey, how long did it take for them to hit the lead? Well, their response time was 10 minutes. Well, that's an immediate start of a bad opportunity that's going to come out. But AI has like really helped us grow it.
Yeah.
Now, because we're able to see more calls at one time, we're able to find the bad players quicker.
Right.
We're also able to train them faster and on what they're actually looking for. So do I think AI eventually is going to take over what we do? I don't think so, because it's going to be really hard for a day 1, a day 2, a day 3, a day 4, a day 5 opportunity. Here's the deal. A car purchase could be the biggest purchase of someone's life forever. And the second biggest purchase could be their home, or the biggest purchase is their home.
Right.
Would you take an AI, what are they called?
Whole life insurance?
No, like real estate agent. Would you talk to an AI real estate agent?
Absolutely not.
Correct. I'm not talking to an AI real estate agent. So I wouldn't want to talk to an AI sales agent for my vehicle. I want to know that I'm getting the good price. I want to know that my finances are good. So when it comes to that, I do not believe that people want to set an appointment with an AI coming in for a 20 to 40, 60, 80, $100,000 purchase. I don't see it happening anytime soon. And I don't think the technology is there yet. It's there, but it's just, there's a trust factor, I think, that we all have. Maybe our kids will do it, but not us.
Just one thing I want to piggyback on that Jason mentioned. So the AI tool that Jason is talking about is something that we've been able to create here that allows us to look at, 20, 30 calls, which normally would take one of our trainers, gosh, I don't know, like an hour and a half to like sift through all the phone calls.
Correct.
Because think about when you're trying to coach somebody, right? You have to like open up their profile, go to the call recordings, start listening. Okay, that was a good call. But then you're like trying to find the places that become a teaching moment, if that makes sense.
Right.
So you're saying that the AI tool that we have, it does that.
Automatically finds the bad call. Like, hey, do you want to hear 10 good calls, or do you want to find the 5 bad calls so you can get a training? Well, it will find the 5 bad calls, but then you don't want to just have the bad ones. You want to show them, hey, on these calls you did fantastic. But instead of shuffling through them, taking the notes, the AI already gives you that. But let me be a little kinder to AI as well. I do believe that anything that's mundane, AI will take. And not so that means like maybe service BDC, things of that nature. There will be a break, because if someone's just calling for a particular oil change, I do believe AI can handle customer service. The only thing that I think would still be necessary is the BDC will still need to back them up. There's a break, because we all know in service BDC, half the calls that come in are appointments, and the other half are status updates. Well, who's got to transfer the call to the advisor? Who has to manage that phone call for the advisor? So there's still going to be a need of people in that gap. Right. It's just the mundane tasks may be brought to a minimum.
So that's something I was going to ask you, because I was auditing a dealership locally here last week. I called. It was a dealership in, I don't want to say where it was at, but I called, and number one, I immediately knew that it was an AI agent that picked up the phone. So what would you say to a dealership that's currently using like an AI inbound answering machine, but it's like for sales? Because I immediately knew I immediately knew it was AI.
I would just say stay on the cutting edge of it, because that's tough. Sales is tough, because every opportunity counts in the sales for the sales opportunity. That's a tough one. I don't know if I'd have AI on my first response to an opportunity, and I don't think I'd have AI on the first response to a phone call coming in from the store. I would have a receptionist AI, but I don't know if I'd have a sales AI. That's a little tough.
Yeah.
The value of the store might not have the same value, and if you knew immediately it was an AI, that kind of doesn't show that it was a strong AI. I would that's a tough one.
Yeah. So what happened for me was I immediately knew it was AI. Then I was like, hey, I want to talk to somebody in sales. But then it's like the call took like 8 minutes for somebody to actually pick up the phone. So my thought was like, okay, maybe they have that AI answering agent there because they don't have enough people picking up the phones, or whatever the case
Sounds
was.
like a lack of process.
It was not like a great experience in my opinion. So, okay, we've been on here for a minute. I want to kind of like land the plane on some process stuff, because for those of you who have joined with us, I want to give you guys like a lot of value that you can maybe like apply, right? So with processes, that's again something that I think that your mind is like spectacular on, Jay, is processes. So what would you say is a mandatory process that the dealership needs to have in order to increase contact ratio? Because earlier you were talking about contact ratio and how it's like an effort game, but it's like, what if a store is struggling with contact ratio?
So a lot of the times dealers focus on some particular stats, and some of the stats that dealers focus on specifically are how many leads came in, how many appointments did this show, and how many appointments sold. Well, there's like a few stats we just completely ignored. The first stat that anyone should ever look at is response time. How fast did we get to the lead? Did it take us 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 1? What is our response time? AI has really helped with response time because
Right.
you can send those fast text messages, those fast emails.
Or email, yeah.
But what I've learned is you have a slower phone call.
Yeah.
And typically people pick up the phone call
First.
typically.
Right.
Now, text messages do work. I don't want to take away from text messaging, but phone calls is what someone's filling out a lead for. They want to be called. They want to be contacted.
Yeah.
If they didn't want their phone number to be on there, they would have just filled out an email report.
Or at least so I can feel out like, how does this dealership do business?
Correct. Like how are they gonna pursue me?
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Then the next stat that I look at is called a contact stat.
Okay.
Now the contact stat is a two-way communication. It doesn't matter how many leads you get. It matters how many leads you talk to. That is just the stat. So you have 1,000 leads, but you have a 55% contact ratio.
Mm-hmm.
You can only set half of those anyways.
Right.
So you're never really going to build a strong BDC. Strong BDCs have a contact ratio of about 80. Let's just go from a lower number. Let's go 75% to 85%. If you don't have 75 to 85% two-way connection, you're failing. Now, let's just say you don't have that at this moment. This is the methodology I have. You're not calling enough. It's just that simple. Either you don't have enough staff or you're just not calling enough. Just that simple. Reason is this. I believe leads should be called 3 times per day for the first 4 days. Mandatory. Out of the gate. Well, you're calling too much and the customers, and what if they get mad? And what if you just don't keep calling and they don't pick up the phone? What if that?
Right.
What if you just called them once, but the guy around the street called them again?
Mm-hmm.
What if you called day 1 through 4 only 4 times? Well, guess what? The guy down the street called them 4 times, 3 times. And remember, you were just saying about, hey, I want to see how I'm pursued. Well, they got pursued better, so you came in last. So for me personally, I would call the leads 3 times per day for the first 4 days. Now, here is the crazy part. You will get to 75% just in those 4 days.
Right.
Now, anything that goes after that 4-day period, I actually, like if you call it day 15, day 20, day 30, I actually don't think you're going to resurrect a customer that didn't pick up the phone 10 times after you called it. I don't think you're resurrecting anything.
Yeah.
I just think you're getting in contact with someone you already spoke to.
You're reminding me of like the first day I ever hit the phones. They threw me in day 25. They were like, "Oh, here you go."
But in day 25,
I was on the phones for like 4 hours before anybody picked up the phone.
But now think about it. Anyone that did pick up the phone was a previous customer that was working with someone, or they had more questions. They just didn't get a call back, or they fell through in the process.
Or they bought a car somewhere else.
Which
was my first appointment that I ever set.
There it is.
They were like, "Yeah, I already bought a car." I'm like, "Hey, listen, man, we're doing employee pricing over here. So you're going to have to like return that car and like figure it out.
That's terrible.
And you're going to have to get over here."
Yeah, look, we're not training.
True story.
True story, but please don't do that.
Please don't do that.
Please don't do that. But then the other piece to that process, I would definitely say, if you're going to call the customers in the cadence, really good emails are important and really good text messages are important. I had a dealer, we looked at their text messages, and I think a day 4 lead said this. It said, "Hey, 85% of our customers like texting. Are you one of them?" Yes, they just opted in.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, what a smooth move.
Yeah.
So like getting creative on your opt-in text messages, getting creative in your emails is really cool. Like I've learned this. The smallest emails go the furthest way.
Right.
People think if you pack the email with all the information, the pricing and this and that, all this kind of stuff, they're going to respond. The funny thing is they respond to one word, like 1 sentence emails, 2 sentence emails. It's simple. It's easy. "Hey, this is John just giving you a message. I see that you're interested. Link to the video or link to the car. If you have any questions, we want to reach out. Boom, put the hook in there and then send the email off." That gets a better response when you saturate them with all this information because they did exactly what you do with your emails when you open them up.
So
click and then close
so it's
out.
like the text template has to demand a yes from them basically, or make it just easy for them to reply.
The text template should remember this is a day 4 lead. So it wasn't like they sent, "Hey, 85% of our customers like texting" on a day 1. The day 1 still had the hook of the customer, the lead, what they're looking at. But hey, they haven't responded to this. Respond to something so I can at least lock you in on more text messages, but you haven't responded back to me. Right. So that's just how to get more contact with customers. Like we think how to contact customers. We are going to set the appointment. Once someone gets on the phone, everyone always says this: "If I get them on the phone, I'll close them down." Okay, cool. Get them on the phone though.
Yeah.
And that is what, BDCs and BDC managers and dealers should really be thinking about. Now, here's another piece of this. Now, I'm going to kind of lean into the BDC teams and manager. BDC or GMs might hate this one, but it is what it is. If you want to see how good the leads are, call day 1 through 4, 3 times per day, and check to see what your contact ratio is. If your contact ratio is not over, let's just say 65%, period, 65%, your leads are not that good. And the reason for that is because now we've got into lead quality. You can't call someone 9 times, email them and text them, and they never pick up the phone. There's something there that's missing. It's not me. I did everything that I could to contact the opportunity within a 4-day period. So you're going to tell me their decision has changed from Monday to Friday? I just don't think so. So if you want to see how good the lead quality is at your store, the first thing I would do is call the leads days 1 through 4, 3 times per day. Call, text, email. Make sure to send your emails and text messages. If you don't get a 65% response within those 4 days, you have a lead issue, not a process or production issue.
Okay. So, which by the way, as we're talking here, guys, if you're tuning into this call, either on our training community through Zoom or on LinkedIn, Jason and myself would love to jump on a one-on-one consultation with you for free for at least 30 minutes to help you diagnose any of these issues. All you literally have to do is, like Jason said, shoot us a message through LinkedIn, or you can text this number 954-643-3835. I'll drop it in the chat. 954-643-3835, and just text the word training, and Jason and myself would be more than happy to jump on a call with you and just have like a free consultation call where we just kind of find out, okay, we're going to like look at all this stuff either within your CRM. We'll like go through it with you, and if like lead issue is a problem, we can definitely point you in the right direction on more so Jason, just because he's like the whiz with it.
If there is a lead issue and like you're thinking about it, hey, I'm really trying, but I just can't get it. I would be able to kind of see what that would look like pretty quickly. Also, if you're struggling with process, payments, I have so many leads. How many people do I actually need?
Right.
What is like, if there's anything in the BDC process that you're just not sure about, let's just jump on a 30-minute phone call. Let's talk about it. Take the ego, put it to the side. Who cares? Growing starts with first you being humble to the opportunity. So be humble to the opportunity. We're giving away free information. And this is, you guys got to look at it from our standpoint. We're jumping on a live streams with different people. There could be people that opportunities that we would like on this call right now.
Yeah.
So we're giving the community a lot of our information. We've just gathered so much, but we just want to see this industry rise. We know AI is coming, but if we can rise as a community and really create processes and structure, hire the right people, and create a good opportunity for the BDC, we're going to be here for a long time.
Absolutely. And I saw this quote the other day. It was like, if you're really good at what you do, but nobody knows that you're really good at what you do, you're doing something wrong. So it's like, dude, like we've been in BDC for such a long time. It's like, we at least just got to let everybody know, hey, we're here, even though this training is free. And even though we're not charging anything for this training, we just want to be available to you guys. Maybe you become a sales manager one day, or maybe you end up taking over a store. Then you know like who you can get in touch with that's actually going to take their blood, sweat, and tears and help you diagnose the problem, right? All right, Jay, you're good, brother. Thank you so much for your time, brother.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Y'all have a good one.
Guys, I'm going to kind of leave you with this thought. So Jason's really good with the process stuff. I'm telling you, like, that's his main gig, is like he talks to our general managers, our dealership owners and all that, and he really helps them like dial everything in. But I want to talk about a few processes for sales BDC. Okay. So Jason kind of talked about this, right? Lead to agent count. So you got to figure out how many leads you have, how many agents do you have dialing. If it's anything more than, I would say, 200 leads, right, per month, you may want to look at hiring some people. We talked about outbound follow-up cadence. So Jason talked about that, right? First 4 days, those leads need to be called 3 times per day. Call, text, email, but 3 phone calls per day for the first 4 days, 1 through 4, right? Day 5 and 6, at that point, you can kind of back off a little bit. But if you want to maximize that contact ratio, really hit those first 4 days hard, 3 times a day. I wrote this down too for processes. So it's BDC and sales team working together in the notes. So whenever we jump on a call with the dealership, we can automatically see like how well the store is performing just from how well the sales team and the BDC communicate within the notes. So if you're in sales on this call, you can really help your BDC perform better by logging everything that happened in the CRM properly. So it's not just like, hey, log the customer in the showroom, but like tell us a little bit about what happened in the visit. Like what made the customer, did the customer buy a car? Did they not buy a car? How was that leaving on that end note? Because then when we're coming in behind and we're doing unsold showroom follow-up, it's still an opportunity that we can bring back into the store, right? And then I wrote this down too, moving the sale forward. So there has to be a process at the store where if you're not able to get the customer set up for an appointment, there's a reliable process that you can have to still make sure that you work that opportunity as a car deal. So that's basically going to mean gathering their information. So are they trading a vehicle in? What is their payment method going to be? Are they cash, lease, finance, whatever the case is? And then using that information and passing it off to somebody that either you trust or someone that you know is going to be able to call that customer and work that deal over the phone. Okay. And then this is like a breakdown of everything that Jason was just talking about, right? So remember this, identify contact rate percentage. So you have to ask, am I making enough attempts? Am I using calls, text, and email? Because a lot of the times it's like the ego, like Jason said, it's like, no, we have the right process. Like, oh, we're so good at what we do. But it's like, go look at it and see if that's actually happening. Are the calls actually being made? Are the texts actually being sent? What are the emails? What are the texts that are being sent? Because a lot of the times it's like you're checking off a box to send a text message, but you're not actually looking at, wait, do I have a call to action in that text message, or am I just making a statement, right? If you send a text message and you're making a statement, but you're not asking a question, there's a low chance that the customer is actually going to reply to you through text. Obviously, is my response resonating with the customer, right? I'm going to kind of like fire through some of this stuff because I want to talk to you guys about some more of the processes. We went over the key stats, right, that are going to help you win. So contact ratio, then you're going to look at set ratio, then you're going to look at show ratio. And here's the deal. What gets measured gets improved. So the reason you have to look at all of this and you have to, again, remove the ego from the equation, look at it and just see, okay, where do I land? Am I landing under 75% contact ratio? If so, I need to go and I need to adjust that process. Is my set ratio below 50%? If it is, you got to look at how many attempts you're making. And if the set ratio is below 50%, maybe it's a training issue. Maybe the conversations that are being are taking place with the customer over the phone are not actually leading to an appointment. That's something that you want to look at. Okay. To win the day in BDC, we're going to skip over that because I want to jump into or actually, let's look at it real quickly. To win the day in BDC, guys. Okay, so this is step 1. Let me just jump over here real quick. Immediately start the day by calling all new leads. Okay, I know that's not rocket science. New leads are the leads that came in the prior day after hours and that same day. So that's the first place you're going to start because those people are shopping. They're hot and heavy. They're ready to go. They might actually be, they may have submitted their lead last night and now it's like they're ready to take action today. So you got to call that customer before they hit the road and before they get to that first showroom. So every new lead needs an intentional phone call, text, and email based on the content of their inquiry, okay? If you finish and you get to calling the day 1 leads, immediately I would jump into calling and confirming the appointments on the desk log, okay? So you want to make sure that you confirm at least 50% of the appointments that are on the board. Remember, confirmations, you're not just calling to check a box. You're calling to confirm and set an expectation around the visit, and you want to create visualization for the customer. So what I mean by that is, like, you're not just, hey, I'm looking to confirm your 9 o'clock appointment, looking to confirm your 10 o'clock appointment. Can you still make it? No, that's like the bottom of the barrel way to confirm an appointment. What you want to do is you want to set an expectation. So when you call and you confirm the customer, let them know who you are. Hey, my name's Morgan. I'm the client experience manager over here. Hey, my job is just to make sure that you have a great experience when you come into the store. I just want to confirm, is 9 a.m. still a good time? So now what I did is I set an expectation before I just confirmed the time, right? Then I want to create visualization. Hey, by the way, when you get here, I'm going to make sure my team's ready for you. I'm going to have the vehicle ready for you. You're forcing them to visualize the appointment. And then when I'm confirming appointments, what I like to do is I like to ask the customer this question when I'm confirming. Hey, listen, we're going to be ready to help you out. Let me ask you a quick question. Is there just tell me this. What's the main goal that you're looking to achieve by coming in today? Just let me know that, just so I can be aware, so I can make sure that we're ready to help you achieve that. So again, confirm to set an expectation, create visualization, and then find out, hey, what's the main goal that you're actually looking to achieve today? Okay. A lot of the times with your people that don't show, that's a perfect question to ask if you're trying to get them back into the store. So I'm talking like a missed appointment, or something like that, where, they had set an appointment, but then they're maybe ghosting you or whatever the case is. To get that customer engaged again, you want to like not make it so much about, oh, I need you to come and reschedule the appointment. Don't make it just about that. Make it about bottom line, what it is that the customer is trying to achieve. Like, hey, listen, I know you missed an appointment. No problem. Hey, I'll be here for you. But let me ask you a question. Hey, what was the main thing that you were looking to achieve? Like when you were actually looking into the car and when you were actually kind of looking into the pricing, or maybe just researching, what was it that was on your mind that you were looking to achieve? Find that out. Because that's the customer's buying motive. So that's either what motivates them or that's what is they're trying to escape, right? Okay. Follow up with all leads in the past 6 days, right? Minimum 2 calls, 1 text, 1 email. Then here's a really big one. I want you guys to call the missed appointments 7 days back. Okay. So from today, you're going to start with yesterday and you're going to go 7 days back on missed appointments, because what you're going to do is you're going to find a lot of those people that fell through the cracks. If you can stay on top of them and call them, you're going to be able to reschedule them for an appointment. Obviously, you want to make sure you're calling unsold showroom traffic. This is like once you've hit your day 1 leads, once you've confirmed the desk log, once you've hit the missed appointments, once you've maybe called day 2, 3, and 4, then you can kind of switch to, okay, now let's look at the unsold showroom traffic. With unsold showroom, I always say, make these more CSI orientated first. So even though you're looking to call and you're looking to get them back into the showroom, I would much rather take the approach of, hey, I just want to check in and see, I know that you came into our store. Hey, how did my team treat you? How did everything go? Asking that question is going to make the customer open up much more than just, hey, why didn't you buy, right? Or, hey, what was holding you back? Let the customer tell you that, and then you can address that concern, right? And then I wanted to talk on the inbound side of things, right? So landing the plane here, right? These are some processes that you guys need to look at your store, and you need to ask yourself, what process do I have set up for this right now? So write this down, and then this is your guys' homework from this call. Number 1 is inbound phone call process. So where are the calls getting answered? Who's picking up those calls? What is the process for identifying that opportunity and setting up that appointment? Are you just answering and you're just, hey, this is like, guys, I love dealerships. I don't ever want to make it seem like I'm saying that that dealerships don't do a good job, but we all know that there's stores out there that if they don't have a process, there's just too many people at the store for everybody to follow the same process to perfection every time. It's just part of human nature, right? But the way that you go about fixing that is you diagnose, okay, what is our inbound call process? Most of the stores that I call, that I do the mystery shops with, or that I call it, again, either there's like an AI agent picking up the phone right now and it's just like a bad experience, or whoever is picking up the phone, it's just very generic. It's like, hey, this is Justin. How can I help you? Right. But there's no effort of like, who am I speaking with? Right. So I'm asking, how can I help you, before I even find out who I'm talking to on the phone. Before I get into how I can help you, I just want to know, hey, who am I speaking with? Right. I want to build that connection with the customer first. So what you want to do right now is you want to audit that inbound call process, figure out what script your team is using on the inbound phone calls, and is there a process to make sure every customer can set an appointment, right? We over here, we use a 5-step inbound process. If you would like to know what that is, shoot us a text at the number that I gave you earlier, 954-643-3835, and just in the text write inbound process. Okay, I'll get in touch with you and I'll see how we can set that up at your store. The second thing is campaign cadence. So what I mean by campaign cadence is like all this stuff that we've been talking about, guys, is like the day-to-day operations of BDC. New leads, confirmation, missed appointments, unsocial. It's all crazy. It's a bunch of stuff. But there's this thing called campaign cadence. So what a campaign cadence is on a month-to-month basis, you want to introduce something called a campaign cadence, where you're strategically contacting 3 different groups of people. It's really 4 different groups of people. So the one is going to be your lease end customers, okay? So if you have a tool for that, great. It's like an auto alert or an automotive mastermind. But if you don't have a tool for that, you can still find this information in the CRM and you can still pull it out on an Excel spreadsheet. And you can, remember earlier we were talking about how do you add horsepower to your entire team. Maybe that's something you do. Maybe you do the homework of going in and grabbing the list and finding the people that have 6 months left on their lease, 4 months, 3 months left on their lease. You can be strategic with this, right? Because if you have a vehicle that you know right now has some crazy incentives, right? Or has a super low interest rate or whatever the case is, then you're going to use your CRM to go ahead and target those people. So either it's lease end customers, either it's high interest customers that have made at least a year of payments on their vehicle. So if they've made at least a year of payments on their vehicle, the pitch is very simple. Hey, listen, I've got some great news for you. Based on how many payments you've made, you may qualify to get a lower interest rate on something newer. Hey, we're actually hosting an event for the next 3 days specifically for our loyalty customers. You don't have to come in and buy a vehicle, but I'd love to invite you in just to at least go over your options so we can see if we can save you money on interest on a yearly basis. Hey, wouldn't that be good? Awesome. Hey, when are you more available to come by, later today or tomorrow? Boom. So that's the high interest customers. So you got your lease end customers, your high interest customers, and then you have your equity customers. So again, your people that have owned their vehicle for at least, let's just say 2 to 3 years, but somehow in the CRM, you can see that they have equity. You want to create a monthly cadence, whether it's like, okay, today's July 21st. So for the next last 10 days of the month, I'm going to pull everybody who bought a car in the month of July in 2024. And I'm going to hit those people. You might end up with a list of like 200 to 300 people that you can go through. And what you want to do is you want to carve out at least an hour or 2 of your day, and you want to call those people. Like I said, text the number 954-643-3835. And if you need help with like the scripting for this, we'd love to get in touch with you and help you with that. And then lastly is we're not going to go into Service BDC today. We'll save that for another masterclass because that's literally we'll be here all afternoon, and then you guys will get hungry, and then we'll all get distracted. So service to sales process. That's what I want to talk to you about. If you guys don't right now have a service to sales process set up at your dealership, I'm telling you right now, the dealership is missing out on a lot of gross revenue that can be generated from the service drive. Okay. I'm not telling you, hey, go into the service drive and you make the calls yourself, because that's an entire job in and of itself. But if you don't have a service to sales process set up, I would love for you to get in touch with me, and I can get on the phone with you and I can help you set that up at your store. So whether we teach you how to do it and whether we give you the scripting and train you how to do it, or whether we come alongside of you guys and partner with you to get those customers that are in the market or maybe not in the market, but they could be in the market over to the showroom. Not only would we bring those opportunities over for you guys, but we can train your sales team how to actually deal with those customers once they get over to us. So I want you guys to do some homework, look into this stuff. And if you guys need help, like I said, shoot us a text message at 954-643-3835 and we'll get in touch with you. Any questions before we jump off, guys? I know it was a long one today. I'm not sure we'll ever do 90 minutes again, if I'm being honest with you. That was crazy. All right, everybody's good. All right, guys, I appreciate y'all. We'll be in touch, and we'll see you guys on the next one, all right? Take care.